All right, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast, and it is the second game in the Operation Charlie Foxtrot crowd-funded tournament of the grand finals between Aimstrong and DevM, and the crowd-funded amount was about $5,400 and some odd dollars, so the first place of this will get 50%, and the second place gets 25% of the full prize, so very, very nice indeed. You get about $2,700 or so for first place in this tournament, and that is very, very cool, as you don't even have to leave your house to win this tournament, so no travel costs incurred there. It is Arnhem checkpoint, so we have our victory points going straight across the map as so. We have a munitions point and a fuel point on the left side, and of course a fuel point and a munitions point on the right side as well. And just to recap here, Insane DevM down on the bottom as the blue U.S. Forces player. The red Wehrmacht player is Insane Aimstrong. So switched up the roles a little bit here for game number 2. DevM was the previous winner of game number 1. Very, very good game. You should check it out if you haven't already. Rear echelon troops gonna have to move away from that building there. Those Pioneers gonna get the better of them, but they can outrange them. And Pioneers say, screw this, we're just going to get something else. But nope, going to go back to the house. Don't know really where they're going. And now the Riflemen here going to take this territory point. Hold out a little bit for there, right here. But they are in negative cover, unfortunately. And there was an MG as well. So an MG, a couple Grenadiers coming out for the Wehrmacht here. And 3 total Riflemen about to come out. Well, 1 is about to be created. So lots of troops for the U.S. forces at the moment. And Pioneer's going to be holding out behind the wall here. Not going to last too long against these Riflemen, but does have some backup coming with that MG42 and the Grenadiers. Pioneers decide to get inside the house. Riflemen are going to move around the side of the house there to actually get away from the arc of fire of that MG. But if they go too far over, they're going to get shot again. But now down to 2 men. Going to have to run away there. And over here, that MG will secure that territory point sooner or later here. The rear echelon troops have taken that fuel point on the Wehrmacht side. And now Grenadiers have chased away those Riflemen. Now going to be taking that territory point as well. Turned that MG around on those rear echelon troops. But they're already in retreat, so not a big deal for them. And just 2 Pioneers left in this squad here. And in negative cover, going to lose those sooner or later. Probably will just retreat and reinforce those on up. There's some Riflemen. Losing a Rifleman all the way up there. On the way up, that was some pretty bad RNG for DevM there. I'm going to get inside the church and trying to hold out, but there is an MG over here that's just going to be peppering them up the entire time. Grenadier's going to get over on the other side. So these Riflemen over here are going to try and deal with this. Meanwhile, the Riflemen inside the church are going to try and deal with everything, really. But there's some Grenadiers as well, so they're just going to take huge damage really quickly, down to 3 men in that squad. And now taking that fuel point back from the U.S. forces as well. I'm going to have to pull out those Riflemen and send them on home. Just 2 men. Grenadiers take the place of those 2 Riflemen just before these Riflemen here could get inside there. Very, very good strategy. Always want to deny your opponent that good cover of a house. And now the Riflemen decide to go off to the right. Looks like they're going to try and take this territory point, but the Grenadiers come outside of the house, going to try and deal with these Riflemen, and should be able to 3 versus 4 here, and actually 1-star veterancy on those Grenadiers. Riflemen get inside the house before the Grenadiers do, but there's only 1 left, and he gets in the other side and jukes him out pretty well there. And may actually try to be, may actually finish off that Grenadier, but not going to happen. And now the Grenadier is going to take this territory point here right in front of the U.S. Forces base. It's going to cause some trouble for them. 498 to 500 so far. Just 1 point on the map. A victory point has been taken, and that's by the Wehrmacht there, by Aimstrong. Grenadier is going to hold out behind the car while the rear echelon troops take that, but they're going to have to run away, and that's going to allow the Grenadiers to take that right back. And so now DevM is in a bad situation here. He's having to retreat the entire time. And now the center is pretty much owned by the Wehrmacht. It's very hard to take the center once you have a couple MGs laying around here. He's got 1 in the church. This is a pretty good spot, as it can pretty much hit any direction. And I was going to take that out, put that somewhere else, and perhaps put some Grenadiers in there instead. Now the Grenadiers are indeed taking this territory point back, and rear echelon troops have decided to, looks like they have moved over to the fuel point instead. And some Riflemen here to engage the Grenadiers, but again, the MG42 now setting up, going to start suppressing these troops, going to force them right back to base, and now suppress, not going to be able to get out of there really, as these Grenadiers going to be firing at them, going to keep that suppression going for a little while here. Couple Riflemen now moving into the center. 1 already missing a man there. And going to get some cover behind that old, what is that, a Volkswagen or something? I'm not even really sure. not much of a car guy, I guess. There's a couple Grenadiers now moving on over to the wall there, and going to be holding out against these riflemen on the other side as well. So a decent flank here. This rifleman here has a little bit better accuracy as they're behind the cover here for the house. So they're going to lose out some Grenadiers here pretty quickly, but we'll see how long he can last. Rifle grenade actually hits the house there, does some big damage. Now that rifleman squad is really low on health. It's already losing one, losing another, and loses the whole squad there. Very big loss for DevM to lose riflemen so early in the game. And now going to be trying to take some territory with these riflemen over here in secret, while the battle goes on in the center and on their right side here. Now Grenadiers going to be taking back that victory point on the right side. Put that back in Aimstrong hands. We'll take down that score once again. So far a perfect score for Aimstrong. Now taking this territory point here with these riflemen, and probably going to head to the victory point or the fuel point next. And now these riflemen here going to try and hold off with the Grenadiers, and they're right outside the base. Problem is he's losing men very quickly, so he's just having to use all his manpower on men at the moment. And now the Wehrmacht has a lot more than the U.S. forces, and bringing out a 222 as well. Now a lieutenant out for the U.S. forces, so we'll see if he can try and turn the game around somewhat with the lieutenant there. It has a little bit more firepower than the rifleman. And now another rifleman on the way for the U.S. forces here. Grenadiers inside negative cover, and now the rifleman firing at them and doing big damage there, having additional, receiving additional accuracy for those Grenadiers now outside and in some decent cover there. MG42 is going to set up right in the face of these riflemen here, and they lose two already. Just really poor RNG this game for DevM, losing two riflemen right there, right off the bat. And now the Grenadiers decide to get out and could take even more territory, lots of territory for the Wehrmacht, 31-19 to 11-7. So not much resources here for the U.S. forces. Need to start turning that around, gonna take that fuel point at the very least. You're gonna force these riflemen here away with the 222, but gonna have to run through a gauntlet of Grenadiers and the MG at the same time. Your MG is faced the correct direction for the running rifleman. Gonna lose this rifleman too, more than likely, and that's gonna hurt a lot. And now that 222 moving towards the center here to defend this. And these riflemen are going to have a hard time dealing with this. And now it's going to be moving over to the right side. Looks like it's maybe going over to the lieutenant, or just going to go over and damage the house for fun. Why not? It's war, and you gotta get your kicks somehow, right? And now the MG42 here was setting up. It was trying to get in this church here, and the rifleman got on first. Got a real good flank in on that MG42 there. Took out one or two men there. Or just one or two there. And now the rifleman moving after the Grenadiers, but that 222's firepower is just wrecking up these riflemen. Loses another squad there, so huge losses so far for the U.S. forces. Not going in his direction this game. DevM won the last game, but doesn't look too good for DevM this game. And now one man in that squad, a very excellent rifle grenade, hits him and just does huge damage. Just so unlucky here. The RNG gods are smiling on Aimstrong this game. Now that 222 is trying to chase down this rifleman here, and looks like he may get it. It's just a matter of luck here to get that one rifleman. And looks like he will not get it. And he's going to try and reinforce here in time, and no, will not get that rifleman. So that is definitely a saving grace there for DevM to not lose yet another rifleman, but it may be too little too late. And the victory point in the center and the left side has been taken by the Wehrmacht. And Pioneers have taken some territory over here and are now moving on to the center. And Grenadiers hiding in some decent cover, firing at those rear echelon troops moving across the map. Panzer Grenadiers now moving towards the rear echelon troops and the 222. And they are forced to run away without really doing much of anything. Now lots of riflemen here moving forward with that lieutenant as well, forcing that Grenadier out of there very quick. And taking out a couple men in that squad as well. This territory point here will be taken by these riflemen, but we'll see if these Panzer Grenadiers can handle these riflemen. Should be able to put those in the church there and fire those Sturmgewehrs outside that window. Outside of these four windows here. Well, actually, one is in the bell tower. And I'm going to be peppering up. These riflemen should be able to move back and receive a little bit less damage. And on the right side, Grenadiers were taking that fuel point, but now running away here from these riflemen that are moving in on them. And these riflemen here have to run away. Those Panzer Grenadiers a little bit too much. Going to take that right back. Score so far 396 to 500. Perfect score here for Aimstrong. The lieutenant now moving towards Grenadiers here. So BAR versus LMG 42. And one Two of the lieutenant squad already down, 3 already down. Just really, really bad RNG here for the U.S. Forces player this game. Just losing troops all the time here. Now the 222 going to chase down some troops again and try and body block them a little bit with that 222. And may actually finish off this lieutenant here, and finishes off the lieutenant. And so that is countless amount of squads down. I have no idea how many squads. I suppose maybe 5 or 6 have been destroyed this whole game, and that is really, really bad. As you can, a lot of games, some of these higher-ended players don't even lose any squads, at least for 3/4 of the game. So this is really, really bad at the start of the game. He is not getting veterancy on these troops. That is the bigger loss. It's not necessarily having to rebuy a new squad, but losing that veterancy at the same time is a big deal. And now these riflemen here running for their lives. 222 chasing them down again. This 222, the bane in DevM side this game. Panzer Grenadiers holding out in the house. MG42 about to set up here. Going to start suppressing those troops. Just going to have to run those away. Rear echelon troops over here holding the fuel point. There's some Grenadiers moving up on them. Going to have to run those away as well. And now the Grenadiers here moving forward, and certainly could use a bazooka to deal with that 222, or at least hit it once or twice there and force it away and force it to be repaired. But at the moment here, really doesn't have too much funds and manpower to be able to buy that upgrade. And now that rear echelon troop here may be defeated as well, and that would just be another big loss there, losing those rear echelon troops, although rear echelon troops are pretty very, very cheap indeed at 160 manpower, so it doesn't really cost too much to get those back, but still don't really want to lose the veterancy on them. And now that MG42 here firing on the riflemen. Riflemen get inside the house, going to hold out for a little while, but that 222 Grenadiers and the MG42 firing on them, not going to happen. Going to have to run those away as well. Just really doesn't have any options here. Now riflemen moving towards the center as well. Could get a flank on this MG42 before it actually sets up against these riflemen here. It should be able to maybe kill 1 or 2 of these, or perhaps even retreat that MG42. Now taking this territory point as well, and there's some Grenadiers here firing on them. They are 2-star, do not have an LMG, but going to be more than enough to handle these riflemen here. But additional riflemen now moving over to help reinforce this area. And we have a 50 cal moving across the map here, and hopefully he can do something with this 50 cal, but not sure if it's going to be enough to really save him in this game, as he's lost so much already. These 2 riflemen here down to 3 men in the squads, taking out that Grenadier squad really well. May actually finish this off before it gets away, but nope, not going to happen. Going to have to retreat all of these now. And that MG42 on this Grenadier squad here firing on those retreating riflemen, and that 50 cal was firing, but now going to have to pick that up as the 222 flanks along with those Panzer Grenadiers. So here they go. Drops that 50 cal, has to re-pick it up with a new man, and I'm going to be able to make it back to base safe and sound, but gonna have to reinforce that. It's gonna cost him even more manpower to do that. Anti-tank rifle grenade hits the back end of that 222, does lots of damage there, takes it to less than half health in 1 grenade. Very excellent shot there. And these Grenadiers are going to be trying to take this territory. They are going to neutralize it at the very least. Now these riflemen are just going to have to stand there and retake that. It's just going to take even more time away from DevM. And now the Panzer Grenadiers here moving up on these riflemen. And Panzer Grenadiers should be able to get 1 or 2 kills at the very least before forcing these riflemen away. But now comes some Grenadiers. And a little bit too much for these riflemen to handle. They're going to have to run away. They did take that point at the very least. And a couple riflemen here moving in on to the center. A couple chasing the Panzer Grenadiers here. One of them taking the territory point. Captain now out on the field. And this is definitely what he needs right now, as this captain to deal with that 222, as the captain holds 2 bazookas, so 2 bazooka shots hitting that 222. Usually doesn't destroy a 222, but will at least discourage it from being in the area, you could say. And now that captain here hit that 222 once, but not going to be enough, as he's just getting peppered up by so much here. The MG42 and the Grenadiers. And now that 50 cal is inside the church and going to start firing away, but we have Pioneers over here, and Grenadiers and the MG42 just not going to be enough. And now we have Panzer Grenadiers over here firing on them, so from almost all directions here, this church is under attack. 222 now firing, and it looks like a grenade has landed in there, a bundle grenade from the Panzer Grenadiers, and finishes off of that 50 cal. And DevM says GG. And a very short game as game number 2, but Aimstrong takes game number 2. So it is currently 1-1 in this grand final series between DevM and Aimstrong. And again, I will be uploading the entire series on my channel here over the course of a day or two or whatever, you know, real life pending sort of thing. So just check back once in a while. And you might see the latest game update. You'll see that it'll be game 3 of 5. This is game 2 of 5. And hope you guys enjoyed this replay. And I'll see you guys next time.